Yeah, had to come through and let you know. Keep it locked, this is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. Truth bombs that many never knew. We talking politics, everything up to the moon. Was the landing real or fake? I guess you'll never know. Let's talk, this is the Nate and Garrett Show, yeah. So lend me your ear, let's get it poppin'. You know that we keep it live, non-stopping. Educating, entertain, there ain't no doubt. After you listen, you'll be thinking way outside the box. From media dishonesty, never let them play you. Keep it authentic nowadays, many can't do. Unfiltered is how we do it. Make sure you stay locked in and tuned in, let's go. Had to come through and let you know. Keep it locked, this is the Nate and Garrett Show. Talking current events, let the conversation begin. Everything from conspiracies, yeah, I'm talking aliens. The Nate and Garrett Show.
And now, welcome to the Nate and Garrett Show. Prepare yourself to be transported to the furthest reaches of reality. As the hosts unravel the mysteries of the universe, the depths of the deep state, the truth hidden in plain sight, all while bringing you the news from this week. Please welcome your hosts, Nate and Garrett.
Garrett.
Nate.
What's up, dude?
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Well, I think this is the most somber kind of opening we'll probably do in ever have done so far, right?
Yeah. It's
the
a terrible
big thing
tragedy last week.
Yeah. The violent leftists have done it again. This time they succeeded, and it wasn't a bunch of Christian kids at a school. This time they got Charlie. It's going to be hard not to spend the whole show talking about it.
Yep.
Because it's also kind of been done to death, but at the same time, it's such a big story. Maybe the biggest story, really. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, if this leads to more, it could be the biggest story ever, basically. We'll see where it leads.
And what can we say? What can we say that hasn't already been said by a lot of other people? I mean,
yeah.
But we have to talk. But we have to talk.
We got a couple too. Yeah. Just we always look at things with a more skeptical eye than everybody else.
Right. And we give credence to conspiracy theories that other people ignore.
A little bit more broken through from the left-right paradigm a little bit too.
Yeah, that's true.
We've not agreed with Charlie on a lot of stuff at the show. We've called him out on some stuff, and it looks like he was starting to come around on a lot of the stuff we've called him out on.
Well,
just right off the bat, do you think how convinced are you they got the killer right now?
I don't know. I'm partially convinced. I look forward to learning more. I think we just don't know enough.
Yeah, we don't know enough, but I think there's some weird stuff that is not being explored more. There was the guy that started screaming right after he was killed. I killed him.
Yeah, that old guy.
And yeah, it seems like he was trying to create a distraction. Like, why would some other guy be yelling that?
Right.
Did you see the crazy conspiracy about him? They're trying to say that's the same guy that was president at 9/11. Did you see that whole thing?
No way. I didn't see anything about that. That's interesting.
We'll have to look for that. Who knows?
Some kind of crisis actor
runs what shit like that. But people are claiming it's him too. But yeah, the fucking guy just heading through the crowd and he's yelling, "I got him! I shot him!" And they arrest him. And then the media's saying, "Hey, they got the guy." And then apparently there was a second guy that did something very similar. It's like, come on, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Because you remember they arrested, or they at least detained 2 different people. And the FBI came out and said, "Hey, we got him. I think it was making them look really bad. I mean, look at, compared to January 6th, where you have a bunch of grandparents that went and walked through the old coveted halls, and they were leaving no stone unturned. They basically went and broke laws, I think, when they went and demanded the cell phone companies give geofence data and stuff. And it felt like they were going to spare nothing to arrest grandma there. And it felt like there was a lot of pressure on the FBI to get somebody. And they did. I mean, they got a 20-year-old kid. It doesn't seem to really, I don't know, maybe when they start saying more, it will make more sense. But of course, Reddit and the liberal echo chambers are saying, look, this guy is from the right. He's just further right than Charlie. It's you guys that killed him, not us.
I can't imagine that bullshit.
No.
Okay, look, to me, this looks like Charlie was either murdered by a psycho leftist idiot 20-year-old who was basically, brainwashed into wanting to do violence and hatred, which is kind of the official story.
That's not that far-fetched either.
No, it's not.
Really
It makes sense to me.
Yep. It's really easy. I don't know if you shot a rifle. And you'll see a lot of non-gun people try to say, like, oh, he had to be a professional to shoot that shot. It's 300 feet away. Or we are, whatever. But it's really kind of not. I'm not a gun person, by the way. I own a bunch of guns, and I go, shoot, I'm not a gun person. But with a rifle, it's kind of weird when you're shooting a good rifle, how accurate it is without almost any training to begin with. And it's not like it's hard to go get training. I mean, every city has shooting ranges.
I made that same point that you're making right now, and I agree with you. Look, I used to shoot prairie dogs. First, I looked it up. It was 100. It was like 100 yards away, 120 yards, I think.
That is not a lot.
It's not that much. I used to shoot prairie dogs just when I was like 14, and I could hit a prairie dog from 100 yards. Yeah. And that's with the 22. These rifles have scopes. All you have to do is look through the scope.
Even with iron sights, they're just that accurate. It's not that.
And the thing is, like, maybe you would miss sometimes, but maybe you wouldn't.
Well, we saw it with Trump. I mean, we saw with Trump they missed. They got his ear.
Yeah, they got him in the ear. Right.
I mean, think of the different path we go down if that hit Trump in the neck. It'd be just as easy as could have. But this one was a kill shot. And it's not like that's a 1 in a million shot.
That's what I agree with you, man. I think it's not necessary to be a professional sniper.
No.
But
they kind of tried to act like
just put the scope here, and then maybe you hit him in the neck.
Yeah.
Which is probably what happened.
He was wearing a bulletproof vest and everything too. Box bar.
100 yards is where you sight in a rifle. That was a chip shot for anyone with that.
I'm not even a gun guy, so I hate to even talk about it. I have an AR that I go and shoot once in a while, and I suck with it, and I'm pretty sure I can hit that.
Yeah, see, I don't think you have to be a professional. I really don't.
No.
So
maybe that is kind of like the most reasonable explanation, just because if you go onto Reddit and if you go into Blue Sky, and we're not even talking about like if you get onto Discord and stuff like that, but they're all still right now, they're basically celebrating this.
Yeah.
How many times we saw over and over the media, it's the whole question, like if you could go back in the future and kill baby Hitler, they're basically calling anybody with those ideas as Hitler. And of course, it's going to be so easy to rile up one of these people with extreme mental illness. And now they're also saying that he's got a trans boyfriend or whatever that he's living with and stuff. And it's just like, well, it's kind of making more and more sense. It takes one lunatic to go and do that.
Okay.
You know how many thousands of people that hated him he talked to.
And not to mention, look at all the other examples we have of the leftists being kind of brainwashed into violence.
3 weeks ago, he went and opened up a bunch of kids in church.
Yeah.
That was a leftist crazy.
A few of the school shooters, leftist crazy,
yes.
Trans leftist crazies, that the leftist ideology convinced them into doing violence.
You know
How many assassination attempts on Trump?
Yep.
That guy showed up to Nick Fuentes' house to kill him. That was a leftist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is, it's not like we don't have tons of examples of the leftist ideology creating these people.
Do you remember when they do that Republican versus Democrat softball game? Some crazy leftist came and started shooting at the Republicans. You remember that? That wasn't that long ago.
I don't
That was like
remember
4 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we reported on that the first time around. So, I mean, we just keep going back. And I hate the whole, like, both sides-ism off of this.
So do I.
It's like,
I think it's ridiculous.
both sides need to calm down. No, we don't. You guys you're killing our kids while they're in church. You're killing us for having an opinion that you disagree with, and you're asking us to tone it down? I don't think so. I think if anything, if you have those conservative views, you got to go the opposite. You've got to be on watch right now, because not only did they kill him for having Charlie Kirk's a moderate. I'm way more I don't want to say
Right-wing.
right. I'm way more libertarian I'm way more of an anarchist than Charlie Kirk is. I'm way more of an anti-government guy than Charlie Kirk is. Charlie Kirk, if there's two areas that he could be called as more extremist, I guess you could say he's very pro-choice. Otherwise, if you look at he's very
Charlie Kirk
much
wasn't
a moderate.
pro-choice, was he?
I'm sorry. He was pro-life. That was kind of where he was. He was a staunch pro-life guy. Yeah, I said that wrong. But otherwise, he was kind of a moderate, really. He didn't want. That was basically it. That was his. The people that he didn't fall in line with a trans ideology. So of course that's a problem for the left, because you just can't disagree at all.
Adam and Stove, up until a month ago, you could have said he was...
we're going to get into that.
Yeah,
very. I mean, that's what we're beating up on him for.
Yeah, that was the thing.
We beat up on him a lot on that.
Yep, you mentioned we disagreed with him on some things. And, I was a big fan of Charlie Kirk, except which we criticized him on the show for being too pro-Israel.
And, we really beat him up with the Epstein files, which is obviously related, because he had that...
He was like, let's move on.
But he basically said, I'm going to move on from it. I'm not going to talk about it. I trust my friends.
Oh, yeah, I said something
Washington.
like that.
I don't care
He walked that back, too.
It could be you in Washington, and I'm not going to say, you know what, I'm just going to trust Nate in Washington.
No kidding.
Because especially when it comes to Washington has showed us time and time again that they are not to be trusted, that they think just shit of us. And just because Kash Patel is the head of the FBI still is not our friend. They're still, the NSA is still spying on us. The NSA, they basically got caught recording every phone call and spying on us, and they didn't even say sorry. They lied to us and said we're not doing it. And then there's a whistleblower that proved it, and instead of change, they just kind of said, well, now we got to go and try to kill Snowden. But otherwise, we're going to do business as usual. We lied to you guys. We're breaking the law, but we don't care. And nothing's changed. It doesn't matter that Trump won. It doesn't matter that Trump won twice. It doesn't matter that Obama acted like he was against all of this. It doesn't matter that we've had, decades of this now?
Yeah, they never fix it. It just goes on.
Hey, we don't negotiate with terrorists, and we're not going to let the terrorists win.
Yeah.
But we're going to give away all of our freedom for it, and you're going to have no privacy. And if you catch us lying to you, we don't give a shit because we're Washington. So if someone thinks they're on our side, they're wrong, basically.
Yeah.
I don't care if you voted for Trump. I don't care if you voted for Biden or you're a fan of either of them. None of them have stopped the NSA from spying on you, and they should all be ashamed for that alone. So we beat up Charlie on that a lot. But obviously, we didn't want him dead.
I was a big fan. I was a big fan of him, of course. I think he was obviously he was a free speech conservative with great arguments who was changing the minds and the hearts of psychotic youth who had been brainwashed into leftism. Charlie Kirk was a force for the right, and he was great. I was a big fan of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. And I just said a bunch of stuff we disagreed about, but this is a pretty clear delineation in my mind between good and evil.
Me too.
We see a lot of evil really cheering right now. And I almost think that just goes to show how great Charlie really was. I think it's saying something when you have these demons that are wearing skin suits and you die and they're celebrating. I think it's because you were a force for good.
Yeah,
I think it's worse to go out as neutral, where they don't care.
Yeah.
Or else, God forbid, they're happy. I mean, this is evil. We're seeing real evil manifest here, and
yeah,
I would
the demons are
want them
rabid.
cheering. I would want the demons cheering when I leave this earth. Is what I would. want.
That's a cool.
So I really think
thought.
that's a nice eulogy for him. it's just, it's not, we're seeing that. They're trying to have visuals of him. Colleges are canceling it because they're giving all sorts of excuses of not being able to have enough security. What do you mean, not security? A guy was just murdered, and you're worried that we can't go and mourn it without them coming and murdering us?
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot, the demons. They can't take it. They're getting arrested by going in the middle of these visuals and destroying the visuals and stuff and getting arrested. So that they just can't help themselves.
I know. They're celebrating it for real. It's
yes.
sick,
This
dude.
is a clear delineation between good and evil right here.
Yeah. And I think the Democrat Party is, they have to recognize that this is a sickness within their party. And the rational people need to leave the party, or fix it somehow, but they won't recognize it. They won't admit it.
Because it's both sides, remember? The Republicans are the ones that are trying to take away your democracy or whatever stupid rumor that you believed that Kamala Harris or Biden was saying. They knew that their democracy wasn't in danger, because what happens right when they lost? Then they started thinking, okay, midterms in 2 years. We got to get ready for midterms in 2 years. They didn't believe it for a second. If they really believed democracy was ending, they would say, well, shit,
it's over.
We're not gonna have an election in 2 years.
Yeah, Hitler's taken power, so it's all over.
Could you pull up? I know I sent you just 1,000 things. Could you pull up the thing I sent you from Jeremy Kaufman? Do you have that one?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, I know this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be a tough show, everybody.
We've got a lot of things we want to show actually today, which we should. But you know what?
So when Trump got shot, I know it's different because he lived, but we talked about like the heroes that came out. Trump stood up, started screaming, "Fight, fight, fight." Pretty soon, Elon comes out and says, Trump 2024, I think he was, and USA. And then soon after, Ryan Cohen did. And these are like the big, cool CEOs at the time. Elon was universally loved. Ryan Cohen was the hero for the small people. These guys came out for Trump. I think that changed things. And then I think that kind of changed. Then we see Jeff Bezos saying, we're going to do Washington Post way different now. And then we see Facebook soon after saying, we're no longer going to
censor everybody's speech.
Talk now.
What a world. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of the heroes that came out of the Trump assassination attempt. I think we have yet to see the heroes that came out of the Charlie Kirk one. Maybe it's different, but I don't see. I still see just kind of the evil demons in skin suits celebrating, and the right being pissed off.
I do think
so.
I do think that a lot of good things will come out of it, and I don't mean that yes, because I think that a lot of Democrats, honestly, the good rational Democrats right now are going, hang on, is my party evil and sick? Are all these people that I say I'm politically aligned with, are they psychos? Maybe it's finally time for me to leave this shit party full of evil. Maybe my ideology's evil. Like, I think some of them will have that realization.
I think if we look 2 years, and more importantly, well, let's say a year and a half for midterms, and 3.5 years, I think more young people would have came to the Republican Party if Charlie Kirk was still alive.
I do too. That's a good point.
So I'm kind of looking at it going,
yeah, that's sad.
Right now, I'm not saying it's going to be like this forever. I'm saying right now, this is a net negative for the Republicans. So it's almost like
I agree.
The demons and skin suits kind of won this round. And I used to say after
they murdered a champion of the right.
Yeah. And I don't know if I said this on air, but I said it on Twitter, and we had a private discussion about it. But right afterwards, I said the pendulum swung so hard right now that the 2020 is over, and now the deep state stuff has their back actually against the wall, it looks like. And I said, what in the hell are they going to do? Because they're a cornered animal. You remember we kind of talked about this?
Yep.
I think that this is kind of a part of that. I think we're going to see more of this just because I think this helps their odds of winning in a few years. I still think they're shit odds, but I think even though this shows how evil that is, I don't think it will really matter because I think he did that much good for the cause.
Yeah, he really did. And I really do think it's a huge blow to the right because he was actually changing college students' minds. And I have a clip where a guy goes to one of his things at a college and he says, Charlie, a few years ago when you would come to the college, everyone was against you. And now look, everyone is with you. And Charlie had huge crowds at these colleges, and he made it kind of okay for the college students to be conservatives. I mean, honestly, he had a huge impact.
He kind of started making it cool because now you're kind of counterculture because you would go to your sociology 101 class and you'd have some fat lady with purple hair telling you how evil Republicans are. Yeah. And then you go to biology and it'd be some demented teacher. I'd be telling you about the multiple genders.
Yeah.
And inside you knew like, okay, I can only pretend the earth is flat for so long. And then this guy comes along and says, hey, I'm not going to fall for that anymore.
You don't have to go along with these lies. Yeah. And it's actually good to stand up for good values.
Once one person stood up, then two, and then pretty soon you have an actual movement.
Yeah, yeah. And look how much of Gen Z and stuff is leaning right.
Big time, yeah.
I mean, and he had a real impact there.
Like we showed the No Kings protest. They're all like really obvious 7-year-olds that have no idea.
Oh yeah, I mean they're clueless.
It used to be the opposite. It used to be that was the Republicans kind of that was their sweet spot, and it's not anymore, and it changed. And I do think Charlie had a lot to do with that.
And he also just promoted good values of saying like, hey, start a family. Don't get hammered every night. Like he was promoting good things.
He was living it. He was 31. He had a couple kids. He was in a committed relationship, marriage and stuff.
Okay. I have a couple things I want to show about this. And okay, first let me say that we laid out that maybe his assassination was a leftist psycho who'd been brainwashed by the hate machine. That's what the official story is. It makes sense to me. I sort of believe that.
It's too easy. Yep.
The other conspiracy, which is plausible to me, is that Israel had him killed because he started to change his mind about supporting Israel so much. And we're going to get into that a lot. Those are the two main conspiracies around this. Because even the lone hate machine gunman is still a conspiracy.
Really quick, go to Grok really quick and ask what country has the best assassination network. Just see what Grok says.
Okay.
That's an interesting question, right?
Yeah. I'm asking him what country assassination network.
There we go. Why Israel?
Israel? Yeah. It's
giving this goes way back. And that goes way back. Obviously, we showed the pager thing. We're talking World War II, even before the end of World War II.
Yep.
They were doing hits.
Yeah. Israel's good at doing assassinations. Yes. I think they're behind a lot of things. Okay, but I wanted to...
for the first time, there's pushback on Israel. Not on the left, obviously. The left's going crazy over it. But also the right when it comes to just their seemingly unfettered control over our politicians. I think that for the first time ever, there's pushback on that. And I think that they lost that youth vote, that the Charlie Kirk, his wheelhouse, they lost that wheelhouse. And I think it would have been very bad for them if Charlie Kirk started to change too, which it kind of seemed like he really was.
Yeah, he was. And the weeks leading up to
the Iran thing. And we talked about it. You remember we showed in the Israeli Times, there was the blogger that said that basically was saying Trump is getting all this heat from the Epstein list because he didn't go to regime change against Iran. He just bombed them, but it wasn't enough. I think that's what started to switch Charlie too when we bombed Iran, which had nothing to do with the U.S. And I think he knows that our generation and younger is sick of these endless wars. They're sick of these regime changes. So that's why I laugh when I see John Bolton get arrested and stuff. Because talk about demons in a skin suit. How would you like to be John Bolton and you're going to the pearly gates to have your life looked at? How much suffering has that guy caused?
These warmongers.
There could be an argument made that he's caused more suffering than anyone ever to live, really. With how much wars he gotten us into.
Yeah. Okay, I want to show how... This is a scene. This is what I wanted to open the show with this, actually, and we're already 25 minutes in. This might be a long show. Yeah. I think we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk thing for maybe the next 30 minutes. But anyway, I wanted to show this scene from the movie 1984 because, look, I kind of think humans, we're manipulable, and it's easy to brainwash us into hating someone who maybe doesn't deserve it. And I just think Orwell. Yeah.
It is in our DNA. Think how many times you've gone to your kid's soccer game and you're playing that town over, and
you like hate the town.
Wanted to fight the fucking parents.
How funny is that?
When it comes to your state's football game, you're in the same side. And
now you want to fight the other state
at Michigan, and you want to fight them. But now you're allies. But then when it comes to the Olympics. You're looking at Spain. You're thinking, let's fucking get these Spaniards. It's in our DNA for some reason.
Yeah, it's good, and
you see it.
It's easy to manipulate us into hating someone else, and maybe who doesn't deserve it, and maybe make them think the opposite thing about that person. And anyway, I think Orwell understood that really deeply. And here's a scene from the movie 1984, which we'll probably skip around because it's like 2 minutes.
Orwell knew it so well that during COVID, they had to release a movie called Wonder Woman 1984 because too many people were Googling 1984. That's how much he knew it.
How funny is that, dude?
Even as we grasp at victory, there is a cancer, an evil tumor, growing, spreading in our midst. Shout! Shout! Shout out his name!
So, like, she's yelling, death, traitor, death. Like, look at how mad they all are. Okay, I'm going to keep it going. Okay, so there at the end, they play the party banner and some like nice music, and the people are like relieved. But in the movie, so they show fire in a building, and they show the guy's face, and they condition these people to hate the man. And essentially, I think that that's what's happening in our world, like
do you know
Reddit,
stand up to that?
X, all these echolocations.
Do you know what it takes to stand up to that?
What?
Take a guess. What do you think it is? Education, a good upbringing. No, it's testosterone. For a male, if you have a higher testosterone, you're way more likely to look at this,
to ignore
look around and go, look at all these crazy people. Yeah. I'm going to say what I think is right, where they've done the studies. If you have low testosterone, you're looking around going, oh, they're all saying this. I don't want to get hurt. Yeah, fuck him. Dude. There's 1,000 genders. There's a million. They should be able to go into the locker rooms with young girls and compete against them.
Right. And anyone who disagrees, we should kill.
Yeah, we should all go after them.
Dude, that's a great point you're making, because the we've said before, it's a conspiracy in itself, the level of testosterone dropping so much in the population. I mean, it's absolutely maybe the biggest problem in the world. It's decreasing the fertility rate. Everybody's a idiot. Okay, I wanted to show that from 1984. And then I want to show these 2 videos of Charlie Kirk being a dad, which are sad videos, but because the other thing is, and we said it before, he was just going to campuses and talking, telling the truth and saying like, hey, spreading Christ's message. Let's love each other and do the right thing. But they painted him as a racist, hateful, white supremacist Nazi. And that's what people on the left still believe. That's what they still say. Kenobi. R-I-H Charlie, probably R-I-P.
Do you know what was the saddest thing about, like, did you hear that there's that loud noise when he got shot, of course, and his kids got scared of the loud noise. They ran to him for protection.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. They tried to run to him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's rest in heaven, Charlie. Okay, let's watch this.
I love you.
I love you too. Gigi, you don't just get to get everything you want. Okay. Well, you have to be on very good behavior to get such a thing like this. Okay? Hold on. You have to behave well.
Did you earn it?
I know, but what did you do for it? Have you been a good girl? Okay, I'll get it for you.
A good father looks like.
Yeah.
Here's one more. 14 seconds.
The literal demon would hate to see.
Oh, yeah, good point. The actual Satan hates to see a good father.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you've got the Democrats who see a picture of this guy and they go, racist, hate, kill him, murder him. They say, oh, it's good he's dead. Oh, get the next guy. And it's like, holy shit, you people are sick. There's a serious problem in the Democrat Party, and they won't admit it. They still think it's okay to be this hateful. It pisses me off, dude.
Yeah, but the other side hates democracy.
Yeah, it's both sides.
Yeah, there it is. If you want to see some of it, we just play. Don't go to the left. One on the left.
This one.
Play 30 seconds of this.
Okay.
This is them. They say they don't say this shit. They tell you they don't do this, and they're all on record saying this shit. They're calling everybody like him Hitler. Basically.
Yeah.
They say they don't.
They went way too extreme, dude, for the last 10 years.
Supporters racist as well. That MAGA symbol has come to represent something. It is the new Nazi symbol. It is the new hood.
Because they're not a party.
Everybody's a Nazi. It's not a Marxist.
Right? They're Sinn Féin to the IRA. They're the PLO to Hamas. They're a dime store front for a terrorist movement.
The Republican Party is basically a domestic terrorist cell at this point. And they should be treated as such.
There are elements of the GOP that are starting to look like the jihadists.
Not a political party. They're a white nationalist movement. They're a fascist threat to our nation. That's not hyperbolic. That's academic.
Would have once seemed hyperbolic, but it increasingly does feel like the Republican Party has become a death cult, and it's all about Donald Trump.
There is no alternative right now because the Republican...
killing your kids in church, by the way. They're killing your kids in church, but we're the death cult.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that goes on for 6 minutes.
Yeah, we can't play for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
This next one, this one's awesome. So this is Constantine. We've talked about him for a while. He's British. He's a centrist, really, especially if you compare to an American political system. But boy, is he just a realist. Play this. He nails it here.
Constantine, your response to that? I have to agree with Lewis. He is living in a different reality, one that has no connection to actual reality.
But what's wrong?
What are you talking
what's
about?
incorrect about what I've just said?
You're
Constantine?
comparing somebody saying "fight like hell" in the context of a political campaign
In the context of a
with
lie
what
where
I
you tried to
explained
overturn
earlier.
a democratic
Lewis,
election.
can I
That's
speak
the definition
now?
of far
Are you
right
capable
behaviour.
of listening to an alternative point of view, or
I'm
do you have to
incapable
shout
of listening
down?
to
Well,
nonsense.
shut up then. Shut up and listen if you're capable of it. Now, you can't compare somebody saying fight like hell in the context of a political campaign with what I explained earlier, which is when you call people Nazis.
The campaign was over.
Shut up and listen to an alternative opinion. Why is it that you people have a complete inability to listen to opinions that you don't like? Why can't you just sit there and actually hear what I'm saying?
I'm waiting.
You can't oh my God.
No,
you
you're
can't
not.
compare somebody saying fight like hell with somebody explaining that the country is an imminent threat of a fascist takeover, because an imminent threat of a fascist takeover is something that would actually legitimize you picking up a rifle and heading to the front line. So when you and Cenk and people like that call people you don't like far right, hard right, Nazis and fascists, you are creating an environment in which some crazy people, yes, of course they're crazy, will feel that they're entitled to use violence to prevent the fake fascist takeover you keep banging on about. And there is no equivalence between these things. I disagree, by the way. You know, Cenk is entitled to criticize Charlie Kirk and his positions on the show. That's absolutely fine. But when you label and smear people as fascists and Nazis, that is taking it to an entirely different level. And that is where I hope there would be some self-reflection. But I'm not seeing any on this panel tonight, I'm afraid.
Man, he does so good there. He talks about how, obviously it's not both-sidedism, and this is a very centrist guy. But the main thing I think I loved is that he basically says, why are you people not able to listen to an opinion that you don't agree with? He wouldn't let him talk. He just kept cutting him off over and over.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, he did a good job there. We missed some comments from Kenobi. Kenobi says, they are just going to get more extreme and violent because they are losing voters left and right. And they aren't going to win an election in the near future. Crazy or jacked up on hormones.
Once we get to you're getting closer. Once we get to the Kaufman, I want to talk about that a bit more when we get there.
Here's this meme that Elon reposted. You know, here's a teacher. They're all Nazis. They're all Nazis. They're all Nazis. And then here's a crazy gunman. And I mean, that's kind of exactly what the
really
1984
they were
thing
Nazis and they're going to throw you in a death camp, that would probably be a rational thing to do.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's just like how everything in the 2020, anything was racist. You were racist if you thought you weren't racist. That was a sign of being a racist. So it's like, okay, that term loses all meaning, basically, then.
And, you know, here's another point. Someone made a memorial for Charlie Kirk. The insane leftists painted over it and ruined it. And then one of them wrote, a good Nazi is a dead Nazi, you know?
But at the same time, MSNBC and stuff, because that's the hot topic, they'll tell you, no, you're not going to find people celebrating this. Everyone's against this.
Yeah,
no, it's not. We just got to lower the temperature. We got to lower the temperature in the rhetoric. They mean the right needs to. They don't mean that these demons in skin suits on the left need to. It's us that needs to.
Right. A guy on the
sit back and have our kids slaughtered.
Yeah, a guy on the right gets shot in the throat, and then the leftist goes, "Hey, let's lower the temperature." You just killed a guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's fucking easy for you to say.
You also killed a bunch of kids in church. Let's
not
forget that.
And a bunch of kids in schools.
Before look at this. Benny Johnson does a good job. We talked about him last show. And Cuomo does not do a good job. But this is a good clip to play, I think, too.
Okay.
I don't really care how we got here so much. There is a lot of blame to go around. I do not see you guys as victims. You give as good as you get. There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of exaggeration. It is all hate for profit on the fringe of this battling binary political system. My question is... My question is now what?
Charlie Kirk has never advocated. Charlie Kirk has never advocated violence ever. Charlie Kirk was only
I'm not saying he did.
A nonviolent, peaceful debater. He went into places where he knew he was hated. in order to engage.
I agree.
Kindly and humanly
that
with people.
he was not
so
about
for you
violence.
to say that it's the same thing,
hold on.
It's not, Chris.
Hold on. I'm not talking about it with Charlie. Benny, don't play games with me.
You just said it, you coward.
Yeah.
He's backtracking.
Yeah.
He just said he gives as good as he gets. He's not a victim. After he gets killed for having a conversation. God, the Cuomos are just pieces of shit.
For sure. You know, Benny Johnson makes a point. I tried to say this earlier, that Charlie Kirk was so obviously for peace. And I can't say that about the Democrats. Because the Democrats constantly try to say that violence is okay. You know, they way too much
violence,
don't.
Remember?
Yeah.
Silence is
Silence is violence. Your opinion's violence. Opinions are violence. So they just have distorted everything so much.
I'm giving you latitude because you deserve it, because this was your friend, and this is scary, and it hurts, and it could have just as easily been you.
The dehumanization is wrong. It's wrong. And
There's no question. But Benny,
you'll never be able to chew me out, Chris, because I'll never dehumanize.
Benny,
if I hear that Joe Biden gets a terminal cancer diagnosis, I'll say a prayer for him. I'll say that I hope he lives the rest of his days painless. That's exactly what I said, and every person that I know and respect, and I know them all in my ecosystem, said the same thing. Not a single one of us celebrated. Not a single one of us celebrated Joe Biden's terminal cancer diagnosis. Now, I can show you a endless series of TikToks and celebration posts and T-shirts made celebrating this travesty. There is a fundamental difference of those who glorify death on the left, and it is demonic, it's sick, and it's dark, and it needs to be.
All right, but
it needs to be disavowed.
Benny, I hear.
Dude, great job by Benny Johnson,
good, right?
dude. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the point I was trying to make. The left needs to disavow it, but they won't, because they won't admit they have a problem.
They'll only do the both sides. Both sides need to, because it's a leftist problem, and they don't want to admit it's a leftist problem.
Yep, they don't want to admit, like, hey, our party on the far left has lost their minds and they support violence.
So if you, all right.
Speaking of that, real quick, here's a teacher. And he said, violence is in fact okay and necessary to confront hateful, violent fascists. Sometimes you have to do violence. You go, okay, this is one guy, but this is so much of them. You know, it's too many of them.
And you know what's crazy? How many of these are teachers? So many of these are turn up being like educators and stuff. So these aren't just
tons.
These aren't just the typical liberal incel that's in their mom's basement. These are the teachers and stuff.
Yeah.
In like first responders and stuff. This is a big part. This is a big part of civilization, really, of the left.
It's why the kids have been being brainwashed by these psycho teachers who are
it's why
idiots.
They hated Kirk so much.
Yeah. And you know, this actually brings us to another part of the show, today's show, which is something that I've been saying for years. I've been saying this before this, which is that the right should embrace cancel culture. I think that this is just my opinion, but I've said it for a while. Look, 10 years ago or 15 years ago when cancel culture started, I was against cancel culture. And the right was against it, and we kind of took the higher road, and the right didn't cancel the left, and the left was constantly canceling people on the right. And we were saying, let's not do this. And maybe in a perfect world, we wouldn't do cancel culture. But I'm for it now.
Save that really quick until we get to the Kaufman thing. So I got a big point of that.
Okay. Kenobi says the scary part is what are they saying and planning behind closed doors if they are saying this publicly?
Well, hey, so speaking of, the FBI did say that there's a couple groups they're looking at that they think knew and helped plan this, or at least potentially. And it was like, and they deleted their accounts and stuff, and it was like armed trans resistance.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like there might be trans groups who helped this kid facilitate this murder and planned it. And I think that you know, that kind of goes into the conspiracy, because I think that might be what it is. He went on Discord apparently, and he said like, "Hey everybody, I did it."
Really?
That's what a couple posts said. Who knows if it's true? Okay. So anyway.
Go to the right a little bit of where you're just at. There we go. We don't have to.
Here's another teacher who showed the video to his 10 and 11-year-olds and said he deserved to be killed.
And apparently showed it over and over and over, by the way.
Man, they're psychos,
Man,
dude.
that's when you get violent, when you collect a teacher for that shit.
Jesus, man. Here's just, we could show hours of them celebrating.
I know, yeah.
Which,
I don't think it's worth it.
No.
I got one that's kind of interesting to show. You know what? Go left. Play that one real quick.
This one? Okay.
Yeah. You can
Gather
skip
around,
ahead,
bitches.
basically.
Let's all join hands and bow our heads in thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers for Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers.
Because meet her husband, Justin Craney.
So she's
He
a
owns
stay-at-home
Evolution.
Stay-at-home wife, and he's got an electric company.
I saw
And there's a video. You could go to the end of it, but it's a guy
Electrical
showing
in
how
San
his
Diego.
work even.
Yeah, so this guy goes to his work.
Shows
say
up
about your
at
wife.
his work.
Yeah. I feel bad for this. I halfway feel bad for the guy, especially if he's not a stupid piece of shit like his wife.
His wife's probably just going down the rabbit hole and stuff.
Yeah, she's just at home on Reddit
like,
too
oh,
much, so she lost her mind.
Yeah.
And
Reddit is a big cause of this, by the way. It's a big problem.
I think so. I mean, it's a giant echo chamber of hate and lies.
That's a little scary that ChatGPT is trained by Reddit. But
Yeah. But this guy is probably a leftist, maybe, who knows? But he says here, like, this business has nothing to do with it.
Would you dance if you died?
I need you to get out.
You're a coward.
I have nothing to do with it. Business has nothing to do with this.
Okay, but this kind of goes into my point of, like, I like cancel culture. This guy's, I don't know, but it would be something a little different if he himself had made the video. If he did, then his business deserved to go into the ground.
People love when it's they love to bring up free speech. Free speech and cancel culture have nothing to do with each other. Just nothing. Just like how the Second Amendment and hunting have nothing to do with each other. Nothing at all. And people love to bring that up. They love to bring up like, oh, I'm a hunter, but we have to, like, you being a hunter has nothing to do with your right to bear arms. Your right to bear arms aren't to shoot animals. They're to shoot government when government gets out of control and to protect yourself in self-defense. That's nothing to do with animals.
Right.
Just like free speech has nothing to do with cancel culture. Just because you say something and you have free speech, that just means the government it can't come after you. It has nothing to do with your employer.
Yeah, you can
That's
get
nothing to do with
socially
people shopping
ostracized.
And if you're an owner of it, like that whatever electrical company, you have a choice as your consumer. You vote with your dollar. It's the most important vote you have. Probably the one that really matters, and you cannot use his services.
Yeah, it's just a form of accountability. Look,
Yes.
I'm a huge First Amendment guy. You can say whatever you want. You can say you're glad Charlie Kirk's dead and you can't wait for more people to die. You get to say that, and then we get to not shop at your shitty business and fire you and never hire you. I love that.
What is against free speech is how the House, a couple hours after Charlie Kirk died, passed something saying that they're going to take away passports of people that are critical of Israel. That's not free speech.
What is that? I saw an article of that.
Let's save it. Let's save it.
One more thing about the cancel culture is that look, if somebody's a far right racist and they go off on a rant about how much they hate black people or something, I love that they get fired. Fire them, cancel them. I hope they lose their job. I love that. And I love it when the left gets canceled for their evil, horrible takes. And they should get fired. And I like to see it. But I want to make the point because all these people are getting fired for their horrible celebration of this evil murder. And then I see people on the left going, oh, I thought you guys were against cancel culture. Oh, and see, that's why I want to go, we're not against cancel culture. Let's embrace cancel culture so that they can stop making that stupid argument.
You've got to go to Jeremy Kaufman's Twitter right now. I think we probably lost the link I sent you. It's going to be past all of this.
Okay. Can I just search for it on X?
Yeah. Yeah. Just search for Jeremy Kaufman. We brought him up a few times. He's a libertarian. I think he's actually kind of high in the Libertarian Party.
Here's your boy Hunter smoking crack.
Go to people up top. I don't know if we spelled Kaufman right.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. But he had a great thing about the 2020 left cancel culture, and I gotta talk about it and bring up a point. Are you looking at the email
I found
right
it.
now?
I know where it is.
Okay, good.
Yep, hang on.
Pull up the next one behind that too, the Trump thing too, if you can.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
here it is.
So this is Jeremy Kauffman. Follow him. He's a good follow. But he took some of the crazy firings from the 2020. So COVID happens, George Floyd happens, and then all of a sudden, totally organic, nothing nefarious behind it. Everybody bows down to this. We have NFL, MLB, every major S&P company changing their profile pictures to a black square. And all of a sudden now you should be thrown in prison for saying that there's only two genders type of thing. Out of nowhere. This didn't exist.
Overnight.
This didn't exist 2 years before. 2018, this didn't exist. But just totally organic. This came out of nowhere. But go read a couple of these quick. So this UCLA professor was suspended for his job for politely asking why it made sense to give black students special treatments on exams. So they were giving black kids special treatments, and he said, why are we doing this? Fired. Stu Peters, BBC Radio, lost his job for questioning white privilege and saying that all lives matter.
Dude,
Matter.
how many people got fired for
Canceled.
saying all lives matter?
All lives matter. Canceled. New York Times editor James Burnett lost his job for running an editorial from his Senate suggesting that the federal government quell riots. Canceled because they told us we couldn't go to church. We had to stay inside and wear a mask.
Yeah.
We couldn't go outside to the beach. But the health experts said, go ahead and go to riots.
Yeah,
go
gather
ahead and
thousands
go gather
and riot.
around for the BLM riots. No problem. But everybody else has to stay home, and we'll arrest you for going to the gym, or we'll arrest you for going to church, even if it's outside. But please go and riot. No problem.
I'm never gonna forgive them for that shit.
No.
That offends
Stephen
me.
Hasu lost his position at MSU for committing the crime of science. He shared data on racial intelligence differences. Reverend Daniel Patrick Maloney, chaplain at MSU, lost his job for the sin of saying George Floyd's life wasn't virtuous. It wasn't. He beat his pregnant girlfriend. He held a knife to her stomach.
Yeah.
He overdosed on fentanyl. The list goes on and on. He wasn't a virtuous
Saint
guy.
George Floyd.
They're trying to make him into a saint, and you have the mayor just crying at his casket. Okay, luckily, we haven't seen anyone crying at Charlie Kirk's casket. But what I'm getting at here, look at this one. Wizards of Coast bans 7 Magic cards for being racist because Magic the Gathering has 4 colors, and one of them happens to be white, and one happens to be black. So those are banned. So he's got 20. He's got 25 of these. Look at this one. The Wizards of the Coast fires longtime illustrator Teresa Nielsen for liking tweets in support of Donald Trump. Just for liking Donald Trump, you get canceled.
Yeah.
So we took a bunch of losers in society, educated losers. These are the guys that are getting gender study degrees, that are completely failures in life, and out of nowhere, has nothing to do with NGOs, has nothing to do with USAID, but we give these guys all of a sudden this power to basically set the tone for the S&P 500. Pride Week, Pride Month. Oh, you better change your logo unless you're from the Middle East. Then no problem. But we gave these guys huge power over firing people, over hiring people. They're hiring people based off race after this. What happens then when these guys lose an election and you take this power from them? So they went from the most powerful group with their crazy ideas. We stripped the power completely. Not only do they lose the elections, but now nobody gives a shit. When they call someone racist or homophobic or transphobic, it means nothing now because they overused it. What happens now? They kill you. There's nothing else they can do. They're completely powerless.
They've smeared us so much, their words lost any meaning. So now they just do murder.
They have no power now. Whoever propped them up in 2020, I think it's everyone that watches really knows who we talked about this when you remember the Occupy Wall Street. They had to squash that and quell that. So then they threw them the bone of this stupid social justice bullshit. But going back to it, the main point, you gave these guys, these losers with nothing to lose, basically, you gave them, you elevated them to the most powerful status. They controlled the S&P's ESG scores. They controlled what their values were, and they were getting you fired for liking Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was that crazy. Where half the people in the United States were cancelable. If you take away that power, and now they see Charlie Kirk going to different colleges, and they say, "Holy shit, we had it all. Now we have nothing, and it's because of this guy." And also, they're telling us he's Hitler, and they're going to put us in camps. Of course they're going to kill him. This is a part of it, too, how they were just stripped of all this fake power they were given. And it was real. It was very real for a couple years. But it's kind of funny how after the mask goes away and after the house arrest goes away, these prison guards lose their power. It's really kind of a mysterious thing that happened there.
Yeah. Yeah. And one more thing about like the 2020 riots for George Floyd. I actually saw a guy make the point of, when George Floyd died, the stupid, violent leftists burned down Target, every Target in America and Wendy's.
They cemented people in police stations and started on fire.
Yep.
They took actual concrete the doors, started on fire, and nothing happened.
Right.
They just thought like, oh well, okay. These guys are the powerful ones. And do you know what the media does? I'm sorry, I know I interrupted you here, but I got to also say, do you know what the media does? If it's a giant group they like, they'll take everything with BLM and they'll elevate the top 2%. And they'll say, see, it's not violent. Look at these guys. They're actually picking up litter, and they're saying that equality is great. But then they'll go to anything the right does, and they'll take the lowest 2%. And say, see,
Absolutely.
Look, they had a free speech event in Britain last night. And look, there's people saying Islamophobic stuff. How dare them? We can't allow them to say Islamophobic stuff.
Yeah.
So they take the worst of the right, compare it to the absolute best of whatever the left is out protesting for, and they try to have the false equivalency there.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, the George Floyd is fiery, but mostly peaceful. Well, there's a police station on fire.
Yeah.
But
mostly peaceful
then,
protest.
In Britain, they'll have a free speech protest, and they'll like, look how much all trash these guys left around. There's so much trash here.
Yeah.
They really care about Britain with all this trash. It's such an easy.
Yeah.
It's such an easy low-hanging fruit, and the left just eats it up every time.
Yeah,
every goddamn time.
And they'll just outright lie. I mean, that's the thing. It's so crazy how evil the
It's
media
a lie by
is.
omission.
It's just unreal.
I mean, that's why I think things are getting better, because the media is losing their influence very quickly over this.
And one more thing about it is I saw this guy make the point that when George Floyd died, they burned down the cities and did violence. When Charlie Kirk was viciously assassinated and murdered, the right had a bunch of prayer vigils, which the leftists then showed up and ruined the prayer vigil.
Yeah, they keep getting attacked. But there's universities not letting them do it because they say we can't give you the protection you need. And rightfully so, apparently, because they keep going and attacking these. Go to the next one I sent. Oh, man.
I got it.
Okay, good.
This?
Look at this. I don't think this is I think this is related. Trump announces RICO investigation into George Soros. So this is kind of, I mentioned USAID and George Soros. He's obviously behind this. He's obviously behind a lot of this with his billions of dollars. He had a lot to do with the 2020 riots.
Yeah, he did. He was funding them. These paid protesters, man.
Yes. He's made his money by basically shorting countries' currency and then just crashing it himself. Like, he's an evil guy.
Yeah.
And so he saw the opportunity. He saw like, oh my God, these guys are all locked in their house. They can't do anything. And tensions are rising. and he won for a couple of years there. I actually hope Trump really does do something with him. Do you remember that clip on Fox News? It might be worth even bringing up. Remember when Newt Gingrich was on and he brought up George?
Oh, yeah.
He brought up George
Let's
Soros?
bring that up because that's a great clip.
How weird is that? That proves the conspiracy.
Yeah.
Really.
They cut him off and say, you can't criticize. There's no reason to criticize George Soros.
They had a token Republican and a token Democrat on this. Look at
This
this.
is it right here.
Versus money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
Why not, lady? Hang on. We missed the very beginning.
But it wasn't her, by the way. Those
and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros's money, and they're a major cause.
I was going to say you'd get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay.
She's a Republican, by the way.
So it's verboten.
All right. We're good.
It's verboten, yeah. He's just getting attacked on all sides for saying.
They have a Republican and a Democrat on there, and he brings up the truth that George Soros is funding this shit. He's the one putting in these. We should thank George Soros, actually. Short term, it worked. It worked. He got 2020 to 2022. But he's the reason that everyone knows Democrats suck on crime. That's what's happened because he kept installing these people.
Defund the
like
police.
the guy that stabbed that model in the bus. He's been arrested 30,000 times, but George Soros installed whatever judge there that keeps letting him out.
Yeah.
And that's really hurting the Democrat Party now. I don't know what he was thinking with that. Short term, it worked. Long term, it's not. But this is not that long ago. That was probably between the 2020 and 2022 where they had all the power. And the Republican and the Democrat said, we don't need to be talking about him. And then they called him anti-Semitic for that. He said nothing about race. He said nothing about religion. He brought up a guy that happens to be Jewish, and he's anti-Semitic for pointing out the guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Speaking of anti-Semitic, Garrett, I think that we should get into the Israel conspiracy behind perhaps Charlie Kirk's assassination.
So we have just hours of this. I tried to cherry pick some just to make the point quick. So Charlie Kirk's dead, obviously, and Netanyahu was one of the first to come out and talk about it. People were mad because I think he tweeted something before Trump did, and Trump kind of told the world. So Netanyahu essentially was the first person to confirm that Charlie Kirk died.
Yeah, an hour before his death, Netanyahu said, "I didn't have him killed." Just kidding.
You know what we're seeing is that they're using this to like talking Charlie Kirk. Charlie would loved this or that. Charlie loved Israel. He'd want people to be pro-Israel, pro-Judeo-Christian, yada yada. It's just I hate when people talk for dead people. You
So
know
do
what
I.
I mean? We're seeing that. You know, the conspiracy group does this too. I think you know where I'm going with this. For people that don't know, like Chester Bennington dies, and then the conspiracy group comes out and says, "Oh, just so happened Chester Bennington was working on a documentary on child abductions." And it's like, no, he fucking wasn't. But just because he's dead, he can't come out and disavow it. So it feeds in nice the conspiracy theories. It's kind of like they're doing that. We're seeing it with a little bit of both sides, but we're seeing that with the people that are really a fan of the USA-Israel connection, really. And it looks like he, according to the people that were close to him, that he was not only starting to question how well that's going for the U.S., but he was also supposedly kind of afraid, and he got a lot of pressure when he came out and wasn't completely just 100% pro-Israel.
Well, he started. I think he was waking up to the crimes of Israel.
Even the Epstein files he backed off on.
Yeah, he backed up on that. He started back in. He. I wonder if we have the clip, but he started questioning the October 7th narrative, and he actually. Is it okay?
Play the clip.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border.
You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to say
really quick. Just like let's take a time machine back to year 2020, and China's back's against the wall, and there's unprecedented tariffs on them, and it's starting to work. And then all of a sudden,
a horrible worldwide virus.
Somebody in a wet market eats a bat. But also we know it can't be a bat, so it must be a pangolin that ate a bat. But also we know that's not true either. And then all of a sudden that gets released, and Trump loses the election, and no more crazy tariffs on China. And China could open back up for the rest of the world, and they catch up.
And no more protests in Hong Kong.
Talk about racism, by the way. There may be something more racist than the Western world saying, oh, it must have been these wet markets. Chinese people eat weird animals. It must be them eating a weird animal.
That's more racist than it leaped from a lab.
It's not a coronavirus lab 30 miles from this lab, from the market. It's not that. It's just that Chinese people are so weird and like to eat animals.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But how crazy? How crazy that Netanyahu is starting to lose some power. And then we somehow see an attack where a small group of Hamas is just driving through Israel, grabbing people and shooting them.
And even before that, they paraglide into a concert and kill a bunch of people. We talked about it right after it happened, and it immediately looks to me like they told, because there were immediately conspiracies of like they must have told them to stand down. Yeah, at best they told them to stand down and allowed this attack to happen. There's just no way it wasn't that, which is the point that Charlie's making in this clip. Not only that, what you just brought up, I remember watching that video of a pickup truck with 6 Arabs in it driving around, kidnapping people. They had a raped girl in the back. Yeah. Just driving around the city
forever.
And I remember when I saw that video, I remember thinking like, if this happened in Kearney, Nebraska, we would stop them. The police in Kearney would stop one pickup with 6 AKs in it. How could they allow this to happen in Israel? It makes no sense, dude.
Go really quick.
It's
This might not work. This might not. Go to Google quick and type in IDF girl bar. Okay. These pictures go famous just because. Go to images now. You have to. If you're, they go to the clubs. There it is. Look at that. Look at that picture right there. This is before. This is before the attack. They have to have a gun with them.
Oh.
So even when they go out clubbing, they bring their fucking machine gun. Okay. So you're telling me that you have to have a machine gun all the time, even when you're clubbing, but also somehow these Hamas terrorists were able to just go around with no resistance? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, they're just driving it around in a pickup with a dead body in the back and picking up random civilians.
Can't believe that worked, by the way. IDF girl bar. But yeah, that's so they have to have their machine guns with them all the time.
Okay, but see, it's funny that we live in such a dumb world where, you can't talk about this. Oh, how could you dare question this story of October 7th? It was a tragedy, Nate. I'm gonna get sued. We're gonna get sued, Garrett, for having an opinion on this. Dude,
I've our pagers explode or whatever.
Yeah. But Netanyahu's gonna send us a beeper.
Yeah. But it's just what a backfire though. What if they really just let that through? what a backfire that was.
Dude,
Because
let's let
before
Charlie
that-
keeps talking about this once you're. Should we go?
I'm just saying that if you look at what the average American's view on Israel was before that to after that, there's a gulf there.
Oh,
basically.
unbelievable. I mean, I honestly think that Americans are waking up to the evil Israel lie, which we've made the point before on the show. They're not our ally. You know, all they do is
tariffs on us.
Yeah,
they tariffed our shit.
We're giving them so much money and
While
military.
We're in such big debt. Yeah,
They get us into all these wars, which the United States needs to get out of, dude.
Sure. Hey, here's another few billion, whatever. You have some tariffs on us, but we're still going to give you billions.
Yeah. Why are we supporting you again? Can't figure it
To
out.
go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order?
Yep, there was.
Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools?
You know, Charlie was too honest, and that's why they killed him. He was waking up, although I'm not saying it was Israel, because I actually lean more towards it was this psycho leftist, okay? But I consider it might be Israel, you know, and we'll learn more.
You'll see the aliens yet. God, we got to get to the... We have so much.
Yeah, we have a bunch of clips about these aliens, Excalibur. So, yeah, we got to get to that. But let's finish up with the Israel side of this Charlie Kirk conspiracy, okay? Because we have a few clips. I'm a big fan of Candace Owens. Should we just let her talk?
Yeah, let's do it.
Denied, and what Bibi didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel for, I would describe this as like, you know, re-education camp. You know, we've seen it. You made an uh-oh, but we can help you. You know, we just need you to come out to Auschwitz and take a picture. Yeah. We just need you to come to the Holocaust Museum and take a photo. We just need you to go to Israel.
Kiss the
and
wall.
we can make this better. Charlie said no to Bibi. Okay. Bill Ackman, if you would like to dispute that, I would love to hear what you say happened.
Said Bill Ackman.
Because our sources and what we have, it's solid. Okay. There were conversations that took place, messages that were sent at that time, and they are solid. So I decided another person that was there, and I am not surprised this person was there. If you've been listening to my show, Seth Dillon. I was going to go out to Seth Dillon, and I decided to message him last night about this Hamptons meeting. And Seth Dillon, who is normally very quick with a response, has not yet been able to respond. I'll show you this text message chain. And I want to be clear, I am not someone who normally publicizes text messages. But my friend was shot in the neck, and I'm just not really in the state right now to be polite when it comes to the answers that I am demanding, okay? This is me out to Seth Dillon last night. I sent him Bill Ackman's tweet because, you know, he tweeted, I feel incredibly privileged to have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk this summer. He was
Pause
a
it really
John.
quick. So this is where it gets crazy. So we talk about Bill Ackman a lot on this show. He's a billionaire. I think he's a hedge fund guy. He's also just crazy pro-Israel, like really pro-Israel. Go back and read that text message.
Okay.
That she sent there.
Whoops.
So she says, you were present when Ackman lost his mind on Charlie and when Bibi invited him to Israel and Charlie refused. Bibi even kind of said, like, I was trying to get Charlie to come to Israel. Text messages immediately following this meeting are circulating. I find Ackman's statement as though the meeting was somehow cordial to be incredibly disturbing. Are you at all disturbed by that tweet? Do you feel as I do that this tweet significantly betrays the defined purpose and mood of his, and I presume your final meeting with Charlie Kirk? Dylan was there. Dylan had some guests on that we just have no time to go over all this. Basically saying the same thing that Candace says. Ackman, about an hour or two ago, released he writes novels for text, but he just had a really big text on basically saying she's wrong. He has the receipts, yada yada. But what does seem clear is that Netanyahu asked him to come to Israel, and he said no. Do you know what's a little bit weird?
And
to me?
he like denied funding.
Do you know what's a little bit weird to me though is that they do make all of these very outwardly Christian politicians go to Israel, put on the small hat, hide their crucifixes, and kiss the wall. Like you don't see Netanyahu coming to the U.S. and putting on a crucifix and going into a church. You know what I mean?
It's super
so
bizarre.
Weird.
You know, it is like a weird kind of allegiance to Israel that our politicians go through.
They all seem to have to do it. Even Malay and stuff. It's like, why is this happening?
Yeah, it's really messed up. Hello, Mali Pirate. Thanks for joining us.
Oh.
Okay, here's this which you brought up where they passed a thing. What the hell is this?
Yep.
It's
so
3
we
minutes.
Too, there's states that basically they can't. It's against the law to boycott Israel. But yeah, play this. Yeah.
Why do you then think that out of nowhere, that while the left is destroying itself, a Republican Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, threw this onto the House floor? I know so many Jews that are upset with this. In fact, we have this amazing Jewish friend from Chicago who just messaged me saying, we didn't ask for this. We don't want this. This is insane. Like, I mean, I don't even know. I was just texting with, Mark Levin and others, and Ben Shapiro has publicly come out against this. And yet the Republicans in Congress, were they afraid of voting no against a bill that was anti-Semitism? Help me break this down, Michael, because I'll repeat it for those that are just tuning in. Jew hatred, no place in decent society. However, you're allowed to say things that are indecent. So especially we're talking about penalties now where you can go after students on campuses. I'm trying to understand and grapple why, with all the pressing problems in our country, Republicans especially feel the need to go obliterate the First Amendment.
I think it's a typical moral panic.
Really quick. I just want to remind the viewers that they passed this bill like 3 or 4 hours after Charlie Kirk died. He gets shot. He's obviously against this. They go and pass this bill right afterwards. And there's not a whole lot of fanfare to it because the big news is he's dead.
Yikes, man.
That's pretty crazy, right?
What is the bill? What is the bill?
This bill is saying that you will have your visa taken away or could have it taken away if you're critical of Israel.
But is that for U.S. citizens or?
No, visa. So anyone visiting the U.S. That's what this particular bill was.
I'm not sure that's a violation of the First Amendment.
Even if it's not.
I'm not saying it's a good
really
bill.
Dumb
yeah.
policy.
Yeah, it's probably
really
stupid.
Policy.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily.
Just because the First Amendment is to citizens.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
I can be critical of Israel. I won't lose my passport because I'm a U.S. citizen.
You don't have a visa to come to
the because I don't have a visa.
But we hold these rights self-evident, meaning that they're granted by the creator or whatever you think. They're not coming from government.
Yeah, but someone visiting our country, they might lose the privilege to visit our country based on what they say. I'm not necessarily against
it. They should still have the same rights, especially if we hold these self-evident for all people.
Well, I'll have to think about exactly. I mean, in general, I think it seems stupid to me and not good.
But why is the U.S. government passing this with a foreign country anyway?
Yeah, no kidding. And why would it be just Israel? What if you're critical of Nigeria? Do you get your visa revoked?
Do you know what's kind of funny? There's also a Republican congressman. I should have brought who it was, but he's proposing to have a Charlie Kirk bill and basically kick all these guys off of social media, make it illegal to have basically free speech and have hatred and stuff like that. He's going to call it the Charlie Kirk bill Charlie Kirk is completely against that.
Yeah,
So
so
of our elected
stupid,
Republicans just miss the big picture so bad.
That's also, see, they have confusion between, it's the same thing as we were talking about with cancel culture. These people have the right to be evil and say evil shit, okay? You can't kick them off as, deny their freedom of speech.
You're spitting on the memory of Charlie Kirk by passing something he'd be completely against and naming it after him.
Yeah.
And I'm all for taking morality very seriously, and I like urgent action, but we can't allow our passions to run away with.
By the way, I think that's the big
3
part.
minutes. Yeah.
He's against the bill. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that guy,
Stripping
by the way,
passport of
Michael
everything.
Knowles.
So, okay, if this is the one I sent you, this is so JD Vance did the Charlie Kirk show today. There's a lot of really cool clips on that, by the way. But he was talking about how Charlie called him over the U.S. attacking Iran. Did we play that yet?
No, let's play it.
Okay.
But that's true about foreign policy. Like, I remember Charlie calling me and saying, I'm really worried. And this was back in the summer when the Iran strikes were sort of first being contemplated. He said, I'm really worried this is going to become another regime change war in the Middle East that we get trapped in. And I said, Charlie, first of all, have some faith here. The President of the United States is not a believer in perpetual war. He knows the mistakes of Iraq and Afghanistan. He doesn't want to repeat them. But Charlie was very clear that he could support Israel. And by the way, he did eventually support the strikes on the nuclear facility while simultaneously saying, no more. This can't become a bigger thing. This can't become a broader thing. And again, I think he modeled a really good way of applying pressure, of disagreeing when you do disagree, but also recognizing that so long as you're operating in good faith, we're all part of the team. And that's something I'm going to try to take from Charlie's legacy is not that we're always right, not that we can't take criticism, but that we all should try to work together.
It did worry me because I think your description is perfect. He was one of the very few who took that message and stood by it. I mean, right to the very end. This cannot get bigger. We don't want another regime change war. But man, some of the people who send money to Turning Point, his donors, were very tough on him. So tough on him that I could feel it. I talked to him a lot in the last few months, and he was under enormous pressure. He never bent. He never became bitter.
He kept his integrity to the very end.
To the very end. And I just think it's important to say that because it's true.
Interesting.
Yep.
I think Tucker Carlson has said a couple of things that have been sort of like, what's Israel's deal?
Yeah, he's now considered